EPR shift the responsibility away from the municipalities and consumer and place it where design and volume decisions are made, so by the producers.
My name is Patrick Hübscher, and this is Circularity FM, the podcast about understanding, building, and managing circular business models. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the brand new series on Circularity FM. In the next 5 episodes, we will cover the topic of textiles. In 2025, the European Parliament changed the Waste Framework Directive. It now asks the member states to set up an extended producer responsibility scheme for textiles and footwear. And this is for a good reason. The textile industry has a significant footprint. Some of you might be familiar with EPR systems, others not so much. This series will unpack the topic from different angles. We start with an introduction from Lisa Oelze, Program Manager at Messe Munich, in charge of the IFAT. Together with Circular Republic, Messe Munich organized an expert session on Textile EPR at this year's IFAT. This was a helpful platform to understand the topic and discuss the different implications with various experts and stakeholders. Let's get right into it. Lisa, we just finished the IFAT Explore and Connect on textiles, and we kick off here a series fully dedicated to textiles. But before we talk for hours on textiles, let's first talk about the IFAT. So maybe there are people out there that don't know IFAT. What is IFAT?
Yeah, well, that's a long story now. IFAT started 1966, 60 years ago, with 150 exhibitors as a wastewater show. But now we are talking about the world leading environmental technology show. It's 3,400 exhibitors, 60 countries exhibiting. It's a record for us.
Wow.
And makes it obvious that this topic is not old-fashioned.
Yeah, wonderful. Why did you pick the topic of textiles for a masterclass?
Yeah. 2 years ago, definitely, we already discussed what kind of spotlight we should have. We always have spotlight areas. Last time it was plastic recycling. But you could feel at the last show that there's so many question marks, something going up, some regulations from European Union, and that there needs to be some more room. It's not the waste stream that is the most, where's the loop closed. Mm-hmm. It's the one where it's the most changing things are coming. So we thought we need room for discussions. And this is why we have 2 spotlight areas. And besides that, we started the masterclass.
Okay, wonderful. How do you see the role of IFAT? I always think it's a challenging tension because you're not so much subject matter experts, but you need to be in order also to craft a great experience for the exhibitors, to visitors. So how do you contribute as IFAT and then also Lisa to the conversation?
Yeah, so I'm part of the IFAT team since 2011. So I'm not an expert, but the good thing is that we have really good partnerships and really knowledge partners, and they suggest topics, and then we discuss what kind of topics we should take. Besides that, IFAT plays a role. Yeah, of course, the cool thing is you can really see technology here. I mean, there's a lot of conferences, you can go there, and then of course you can deep dive there. But here you can discuss and you can touch it, you can see it. That's a benefit of a trade show. You meet people, and our role is not to be only an exhibition anymore. 70% of the visitors are coming to IFAT because they want to attend the conference program. Mm-hmm. Reason why is also because we have half of the visitors coming are like from municipalities. So they need a reason why to come to IFAT, not only for commercial reasons, but also to get some more knowledge. So it's really important for us to have really a good conference program and to offer this benefit. And that's why we also have not only the exhibition, we have really the orange stage, the blue stage, the green stage. And what changed within the last 6 years is that we started as a show for municipalities. And now the topics like water, sewage, waste, recycling, circular economy, they are in the heart of everything, in the discussion everywhere. And so we need to really help other industries to understand what they can find here, because if it is so big, people are lost. And that was the reason to create the masterclass, because we thought, okay, this is an industry that doesn't know IFAT. They just get in touch with it, and they need some more exchange, and they need this kind of protected room really to get into it, in the topic. That's why.
Wonderful. Let's follow that direction and dive into the topic with Jelica on textiles. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Jelica, as Lisa just explained, we are here to talk about textiles in an explore and connect manner. You're from GRS PRO. First of all, what brings you here to this topic personally, and what is GRS PRO doing?
It's really nice being here. Just to summarize, what is a PRO or what is GRS PRO? GRS PRO is a producer responsibility organization, and we support suppliers or brands when it comes on the obligation on the EPR system or extended producer responsibility. So the finance comes from the producers and the operation comes from the PRO side.
Okay, and GRS PRO already has an experience in other industries?
Exactly. We are already operating as PRO for over 25 years in the battery sector. This experience we are now transferring in the textile industry with GRS PRO Textil.
Okay. Is your personal background more in PRO or textile?
Not exactly actually. My background started or rooted more strongly in the textiles industry supply chain. So I started my professional career as from product development, production side, and quality management. So I quite seen different side of the textiles industry, right? Production produce a lot of fashion textiles in Asia, China, Turkey. So after that, over the time, my focus shifted towards more sustainability and circularity, because I have seen the background. So
Right.
what many actually don't recognize or not have the possibility to see it. So
Okay, you saw the pains and the gains.
I see everything. I saw everything, and when my shifted towards circular textile circularity started, I decided to learn about the textile waste management, and I've worked as sustainability manager and recycling manager for SOEX, and I collect. In the past, SOEX was actually the big player when it comes to sorting, collection, and recovery of used textiles. And due to the final situation globally regarding this area, I decided to leave SOEX, and then in last summer, I started as business development manager for GRS PRO Textil.
Okay, yeah. And now we're here.
Yeah.
Of course, as you already also explained or demonstrated, circularity has been a topic in textiles already since decades.
Exactly.
Also, let's say basic practices of reusing, so giving clothes to friends and stuff like that. I mean, all this more in the informal sector has been existent, but now we get some boost from the European Commission, at least in Europe. So can you just help us a bit what's happening now and what's the aim of the upcoming regulation in Europe and Germany?
My pleasure. Regulation is a very important topic in the textiles industry right now, especially the extended producer responsibility, so the EPR. The EU already set the direction, right? We will have a change, especially when it comes to the building the infrastructure. That means collection, sorting, and recovery of used textiles. We will have the financial support for this infrastructure, so we can build the circular economy, so we can actually collect the textile waste, go it to the sorting area, and then it provided to the reuse part or at the recycling part. So and this is important, because right now the textiles industry doesn't have that, and the APR gives the or gives the opportunity to support it financially. So it creates the foundation for the infrastructure, what we really, really need for the upcoming EPR system across Europe. All the member states are now planning to implement the EPR system.
So, and there has basically been a European directive that was accepted last year.
Exactly, this is the Waste Framework Directive, and it's include the EPR system. And now, since the Waste Framework Directive also included the separate collection,
Right.
it is an important part to become more circular in the textiles industry, to give the possibility to it shouldn't end in a regular disposal bins. It should be recovered for the recycling part. So that is why the separate collection is important. And the EPR is focused on the textiles, footwear, and home textile parts. So it will cover or it will force brands or producer to be being responsible for the entire life of end of life fast for the product, and even far beyond that. So it's actually shift the responsibility away from the municipalities and consumer, and place it where design and volume decisions are made, so by the producers.
Okay. And now, as we are talking in spring 2026, we are in this in-between state. The European Commission defined the direction, as you just explained, and now it's up to the member states to implement the specific national EPR systems and configure that. Can you give us a bit of an overview? What are the essential open questions that need to be decided now by the member states?
Well, between the member state, of course, I think it's important because Brussels sets the goal a harmonized EPR system. So we have to see what member is developing under their national law. When it comes to the German law, for example, on the Textiles Act, there are some issues are still remaining open. For example, the fee structure, eco-modulation standards, or the registry, how to register their product, or how many PROs will it be more competitive way. In Germany, we will having a competitive EPR system, but how many will it be, and what are the standards for that? So
when you say competitive EPR system, what does that mean?
There are, for example, comparing to refashion, it's a monopole. France, it's a monopole, it's refashion. And in Germany, producers have the freedom or the flexibility to choose the PRO that they are working with, right? So because there are several PRO that they are already positioning themselves in the market, so it will be competitive. So we're trying best as possible to harmonize, but in Germany, as you mentioned, we are still in the between phase. So we don't know what's the law is actually really looking in the final station. So we are see the way, the direction, but we cannot finalize everything from the operation side on that.
Okay. And when we have this competitive PRO system, there are opinions or arguments that basically say there is a risk of a race to the bottom, that manufacturers opt for a PRO provider that has a more favorable, commercially more favorable fee structure, with leaving circularity ambitions aside. So I guess this is also up to debate right now, but do you already see approaches how to prevent that from happening?
Of course, the government needs to set the rules, the regulation, right? But a competitive EPR has also a good side in this regarding when it comes to transparency, traceability, because the producer itself mentioned that they wants to be more responsible if they have to finance the infrastructure or the innovation that it will need to be more circular. They want also to know where the investment really going, right? And if you have a monopole system, you quite have just limited under the reporting side. And the competitive EPR scheme is more motivated to be more transparent, also motivated to adapt, to improve the system, improve the partnership, and always improve the operation. So that's the good side. Oh, of course, there's always a downside if everything, but we should focus more on the good side of the APR.
Okay, and to all the listeners, we are now in the first episode of this series, and we will definitely also have a deep dive on eco-modulation because it's so crucial in the design of the EPR system to actually set the incentives in a right way. Jelica, my last question, we talked about different member states under the European Union. At the same time, the textiles industry is a pretty international one. You already explained it based on your history. And some listeners who listened to the series last year in Kenya might remember the conversation with African Collect Textiles about global EPR systems, basically saying that they have the challenge that Europe is shipping containers of second-hand clothes to Africa. And this is declared as second-hand, while at the same time when they open it, they say, oh, well, quite a lot of that is actually not usable anymore and is waste. So they need to build up the infrastructure for recycling in Africa, but don't really get the funds from the EPR system from your question, or is it somehow addressed that there is some international flow of EPR fees that follows a bit the flow of the actual flow of the textiles?
Well, this is actually a very important subject, but my answer would be when it comes to the EPR finance infrastructure of non-EU countries, it's actually not addressed on the regulation right now because the EPR is focusing on the regional infrastructure that we are here building in Europe and also having in Europe. So it should just finance our financing our infrastructure. Cross-border responsibility to the EPR system is actually not addressed. I think for us as an industry, we need to find another solution, right? The solution is also not just stopping sending reuse or second-hand products to Africa or to Asia because they are relying on the business of the second-hand. Of course, we just have to need more quality control when it comes to sorting and also to export. The Waste Framework Directive sets already the ban of shipping the textile waste to developing countries, so it's one step. But I think it will also set a different way when it comes to new business models. Maybe some sorters and collectors are much more attractive to keep everything here in Germany or in Europe because the EPR is supporting new business models, the upcycling business, repairability, or any kind of circular business models. So maybe there will a shift on that as well. But as mentioned, cross-border responsibility, it's not addressed right now. So we have to find another solution to support Africa or Asian country because they don't have the waste management that we have, but the waste that we creating or buying products ends up there. So I think we also have to start, us as consumer, to think about our behavior on consumption. So do we actually need more clothes, or do I prefer more reused second-hand clothes, and where does it come from? So I think we also have to address the consumer side, the consumer awareness.
Yeah, many challenges. You're kind of an insider and an outsider. What would be your recommendation to brands? What are the important topics to look at in these times of uncertainty a bit from a regulatory point of view?
I always suggest when getting in touch with brands, start preparation regarding being compliance. So preparation means get in touch with PRO because we are directly involved. GRS Textile is very closely involved on the regulation development in Germany. We're also having closely discussion or exchange with other PROs from other existing EPR, French, Netherlands, so we can actually provide some knowledge, updates on the developing across Europe, so they can start preparation, collecting data, They can check their supply chain system, and they can also address the rules within the organization, because someone has to own the topic finance, legal, compliance, or sustainability, and they should start. They can start right now.
Jelica, thanks a lot for these insights and for the overview and your support for helping the textile community to become more circular.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
This was the first episode in our Textile EPR series. In the next episode, we will hear the producer's perspective shared by Philip Bonaventura from Schöffel. Thanks for tuning in. Sign up to the newsletter to get the key learnings from this conversation. Good luck with driving a profitable circular economy, and please don't forget, the most abundant renewable resource is your imagination. My name is Patrick Hübscher, and this is Circularity FM, the podcast about understanding, building, and managing circular business models.